So I was just discussing off air that I would just kick into the recording straight away because I was playing the game of guess which soundtrack I was listening to before we started recording. And it was Tron Legacy for the viewing audience, which really, really kicks ass. That is an absolute banger of a soundtrack. And I would say up there with it would be Vangelis's original Blade Runner soundtrack.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Considering what you were doing to Tron, I have a similar story about that soundtrack, but I won't talk about it right now. We'll save that for another time.
um, Conan the Barbarian, the Basil Polidorus soundtrack to that is like there are very few soundtracks I can listen to where when I hear each soundtrack, like each song on it, I immediately can picture the scene.
Yeah, yeah. That is very Blade Runner.
Yeah. Lord of the Rings does that as well. Like that Howard Shore when like when Khazad-dûm when they like journey into the actual Great Hall and all like Gandalf lights up all the columns and like the orchestra and the choir all kicks in at once. It's just certain soundtracks that really kick things off.
I think with Lord of the Rings, it's like 95% of that soundtrack. I can just picture exactly where it is at that moment.
And there's a few. The weird thing about the Lord of the Rings soundtracks is there's like that one song on each of the soundtracks. Because you have like Enya in the first one and Emilia Toriano, I think it is the Icelandic chick in the second one, and then was it Billy Boyd?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was like each one. It's kind of like how James Bond films always have that one. They've always got one song that's like the song for it. Yeah, I actually won a trivia on the cruise ship. I won several trivias, actually. I was swimming in women, 80-year-old women on the cruise. Because I won like the Star Trek, Star Wars, the Game of Thrones, and I also got the a music one, and it was like the James Bond theme soundtracks. Like who did them? Like Tina Turner for Goldeneye and Madonna for Die Another Day. I think Living Daylights was the Aha. Like, yeah. Anyway, I'm a complete nerd for that. I'm bringing all this up because I'm, of course, avoiding the topic at hand, which was Games Workshop. So, jokes aside, how have you guys been? It's been ages since we actually caught up properly.
All good, man. All good. Absolutely good. Like, just fresh out of the old surgery. Well, not fresh out, a couple of weeks out now. So, starting to heal really well. Yeah, I'm feeling good, feeling great. Christmas around the corner. Family's all touch wood, happy, doing well. So yeah, absolutely fantastic.
I'm glad the surgery was successful and you can finally be the YouTuber you wanted to be all this time.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I mean, my balls are out of my throat now, which is good. It's good.
Kaifa?
They dropped finally.
I'm doing good, man. Doing good, keeping busy. Holiday season always seems to get that way, but yeah, I've been looking forward to this chat with you guys because, as you said, it's been a minute.
It has been a hot minute, so I have a crap load of stuff I wanted to cover. And the original topic I was gonna do for tonight, spoilers, is it was gonna be on is print media dead within Games Workshop, as in like has it outlasted? Outlasted? No, that's not the right word. I will come up with a better word, but that's not the topic I went with. Tonight's just going to be a bit of a news roundup, catch up, maybe even just a general bitch session. I don't really know how it's going to devolve, although I have my grievances. Maybe for like the 12 days of Christmas, I can list like the 12 grievances of Circle or something. But
we can get more than 12.
Definitely get more than 12.
With how things have been going in gaming and stuff right now with 40k, but we'll see.
I mean, if GW can consolidate the entirety of the Horus Heresy to the top 10 books or whatever, I'm sure we can consolidate that list.
So a few things I want to talk about then. I'll just list off some topics. Hopefully I remember all of them and actually get to all of them before the video is out, because it's so easy to get sidetracked. But Warhammer 50th. Warhammer's 50th, to me, landed with the weight of an empty balloon. I don't know about you guys, but I was quite underwhelmed.
So I did an entire video on this.
Nicely done, by the way.
Oh, cheers, man.
That. And I was gonna, if you didn't bring it up, I was gonna say let's use that as the launching pad, because that was like perfectly encapsulated my feelings.
I was frothing at the mouth. Like I just the amount of shit they could have done. Like so for those of you, neither of you obviously are British. We have an ex-colonial over there, but that's not. No, two actually. When you think about it, one more legal than the other. You're both welcome back, by the way. I mean, I'm sure the king would extend an invitation, but. For British people, Games Workshop is a big fucking deal. Like it's huge. Like, you know, for British war gamers, British nerds, it's an institution over here, and we all grew up with it on our doorstep. Those are our heroes. Those were our guys. All of our memories are tied up in this company, and to have 50 years, such a huge landmark come around, and all we got was a 9 to 12 page fluff piece article that says nothing. Is a fucking disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. They've got no compunction or want or need or interest in investigating or looking at their own history and heritage. They completely disrespect it. They want nothing to do with it, modern Games Workshop. And even in that video, you know, I had ideas whilst I was recording it. You could have had roundtable sessions through the years of Games Workshop. For the week of the actual anniversary, you could have Steve Jackson and Livingston around a table talking about founding Games Workshop with a few beers in Bugman's. Then the next night on Tuesday, you've got Rick Priestley and Andy Chambers and Jervis Johnson and the original, you know, Rogue Trader guys. And even before that, there around a table with a pint in Bugman's. And the next night, you've still got Rick Priestley there, but now he's joined by people like Matt Ward. Wouldn't that be funny? You have Matt Ward there and guys like that who are just talking about, oh my god, how did you feel about the Ultramarines that you wrote and things like that? You know, having a laugh about it with a few beers. And we get to Friday, where we have Suggs, Peachy, and Duncan Rhodes, the modern Games Workshop people who've just left, who are sitting down saying this is how the company is now. You go through the years. They could have done all of that as a live stream, as YouTube updates, whatever it is, and put it on, and it would have been great. It would have been so fun. Just there's one thing they could have done. The one event. Your Games Workshop, you are the company of events. That's what you do. That's what you were supposed to do. And to let the 50th anniversary just go by with an offhand article in White Dwarf that kind of read like you were embarrassed by your own history, not going to lie, is just a real slap in the face. And there were no models, there were no reveals, there were no celebrations, there was nothing. Nothing. You would not have known on their Twitter feed or on their website or on their YouTube channels or Twitch channels, whatever, that it was even the anniversary. You never would have known. There should have been a birthday bash at Warhammer World where they invite influencers from all over the world and me to go down and drink and celebrate and have a good time and, you know, go through the exhibition for free and to look at all these different things. That's the company this used to be back in the day. When you had John Stallard there and guys like that who were going to the Museum of Nottingham and Nottingham Castle and putting on events there, they did it for fans. They did it to get people in. They did it and they had this chutzpah about them, a chip on their shoulder, because they were told by guys like Nottingham Castle, you know, the official council of the city, no, you can't do that here. No one's going to come. They're like, well, we'll fucking show you. Warhammer's massive. You don't know what the power of Warhammer is. We'll show you. And they did. They did. They packed out events at that castle. And the council were just like, what the fuck? We had no idea this was like, yeah, that's the power of Warhammer, motherfucker. Right? Games Workshop aren't proud anymore. They don't give a shit. They don't have any pride in their own product. And the 50th anniversary is the epitome of that. And I'll shut up about it. been holding that in since I've done the video because I've had other thoughts. But there you go. Sorry, I'll shut up for a bit.
I haven't said a thing on it actually up until this video, and I think you actually nailed it at some point in that rant of yours, very minor as it was, that they're embarrassed of their history. I think they are very embarrassed of their history because at one point they were very aware that they're just a toy manufacturer, you know? Now they, I think, have pretenses that there's something bigger than that because of the way it's hitting the mainstream, that, you know, they don't want to go back and reference it and talk about being a toy manufacturer. They're like, no, we're bigger and more special than that, you know. Warhammer is a universe and it's professional, and, you know, they don't want to go back and reflect upon it, maybe. Because, I mean, what this is I'd already seen this before, and it was with the 10 years of Horus Heresy, where there was not like, you know, in memory of Alan Bly, who devoted every last minute of like his life to creating that game system, and even as he's in ailing health, kept working on those books right up until the end, which is part of why we sort of, you know, almost patronize him. Patronize, like, as in like when you make a saint, that kind.
Yeah, like venerate, kind of that kind of idea.
Yes, and deify, as it were, and it's like they couldn't even talk about the 10 years of Horus Heresy, and it was like the writing's on the wall. Like, they don't care about the past; they're more worried about next thing, next product. If you bring back guys from the past and they talk about how, you know, oh, we really liked Judge Dredd in 2000 AD comics, and we thought that was cool, so we created the Adeptus Arbites. That's just showing how, in a way, shallow the universe is, because they just took someone else's ideas. And, you know, the interesting part is what they did with those ideas to me. But I think they would see it as that, like, almost like admitting that everything is built on someone else's work in a way. And so they just avoid the topic altogether. They couldn't care. Just, you like Space Marines. Next thing is more Space Marines. I don't know.
Keep people looking forward.
I'm not angry about it. I'm just like, really like,
disappointed.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
It's an interesting point.
Yeah. I guess mine was more insult because I hold the companies so much closer to my heart because I guess it's a unique standpoint. Like, I grew up with it. I've been part of the family. It is a part of the family. As much as he's like a retarded brother, right? Like, he literally just. I can never get away from Games Workshop. So many of my friends work there. You know, and it's a slap in the face. It really was. Like, they couldn't care any less.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you. It's like, it's interesting because you have, like, what is the idea of a 50 years of Games Workshop celebration? It's a look back, obviously, right? And it's so interesting. And you brought this point up in your video, if I recall correctly, North, that even the cover is so tone deaf to what the interest should be about, right? The cover, I'm just looking at it now. I Googled it. It has a Stormcast Eternal and a Primaris Space Marine. And as you said in your video, those should be the Warhammer Fantasy and, you know, classic Firstborn, before we had to call them Firstborn, like tactical Marine.
Yeah. They should be on there with them. Not replacing them. But on there with them.
Oh yeah, like that. Yeah, like showing the history, basically. That's what it should be about.
Yeah.
As you guys said. But, you know, I can't say I'm like entirely surprised. It's funny. I find it like a little thematic, dare I say, that on Warhammer Community. It's like Warhammer Community, I brought this up before. It's a website that's really geared about what to look forward to. And I find it pretty interesting that this kind of way of thinking is seeped into the direction of what should be the opposite way about looking at the IP and the hobby, right? It should be a look backward, a stroll through memory lane. Some anniversary minis would have been awesome too, like you brought up in your video as well. That was a great point. Give me some goblin green bases on the promo image, right? Dude. Yellow shoulder pad trim on the Ultramarine, red
on the green block cloth board instead of like the Games Workshop proprietary realm of Battleboard. Although I was in this 50 years article that I have on screen, there is that in the background. Some of these shots, like some Eldar on a flocked board with Goblin Green
Like
bases.
I know it's a, I know it's a crazy idea to throw out now, given what we just came out of this giant glut of Space Marine battle boxes. But if you didn't have any of that, and that was the Space Marine battle box for the year, like a classic retrospective look back, you can still have the new quality sculpts and the posing that they like and tactical rocks, whatever. But if it was just presented in the way people remembered Warhammer, as we described with the Goblin Green bases and the classic ultramarine aesthetic, I think that would really pop people's rocks, man.
Yeah, the funny thing about Space Marines, Kaifer, I'll give him one character, and that's Pedro Cantor. Apart from that, I kind of feel like I'm in a, you know what? I'm fucking over Marines. I mean, that's the feeling I've got, where it's like you've done not just every Marine character basically, but you've done doubles of some of those characters in the last like 5 years. Yeah, you get like double Marnius Kelgars, for example. I'm shocked actually they haven't done another Tigris model, because the current one's not particularly great. And it's like, yeah, no, I how about I meet them halfway? Like, okay, you've done your Space Marines, you've done all the characters now. How about you sculpt something else? Do you reckon you can sculpt something else? Or maybe, and I'm just going to throw this out there, wild conspiracy theory, maybe it's because Space Marines are so fucking easy to sculpt, because once you've sculpted one set of pauldrons, one set of Primaris power armor, and you've got 3D modeling software, you can just click and drag that wireframe model into any pose you like, put a purity steel in a different spot and call it something different. Like, it's just, whereas like, if you try and sculpt like a new orc, like Gazkul, they fuck it up. And I will, by the way, viewers, die on that hill that the new Gazkul is actually a bad sculpt. You just like it because it's big and new. And if they brought out the old Gazkul that scale tomorrow, you'd be like, this is fucking amazing. Because it's you know what the problem is with that Gazkul? He's symmetrical. Orcs should never be symmetrical.
Yeah.
He's not an orc. Like, even there's the one thing I would say, weirdly, that I like about the Iron Jaws is that I'm kind of autistic. Like, I like symmetry. Do you know what I mean? Things not being symmetric, that kind of fucks with me. So I really like the Iron Jaws because they are symmetric. But that's me, but the feral orcs aren't, right? Your bone rippers aren't. Like your goblins are not. They are all hickledy pickledy all over the place. You know what I mean? The Iron Jaws are your mercs. They are your like orc Space Marines, and I love the idea of our like ultra elite orcs. So
I will share my screen to you guys in the background so you can see what I'm talking about.
What's with all the what does the dwarf porn folder mean?
Oh, what, you don't have that?
No.
Well, I am a man of culture and good taste.
All right. Well, there you go.
No, so like, see this Gazkul, right? And I know I'm bitching a little early in the episode, but see how like the knees are the same knees on each side. It's just like one has these little like tooth symbols both of, but it's like he's too perfect, too the same. Like the armor is just surface level different. Like, oh, there's a bolt on this side and there's 2 rivets on the other side of his chest. Like, see how they're totally different things? It's like, no, like even the toes are the same on each foot. It's like a real orc, they would all be different parts.
Yeah,
because they'd be scavenged. Everything's scavenged. Like even the exhaust pipes on the back. See how it's the same exhaust pipe basically on each side with the same like perforated shroud and the same little split, and it's like that is wrong, and that's what computers do to you as a modeler. Versus hand sculpting something. If you hand sculpt, it's hard to do symmetrical details. It's very easy to do asymmetrical. It's the reverse with computers.
Exactly. I was just going to make that point, Maka. You can feel the orcs on their digital modeling software copying and pasting knee pads and modeling in symmetry, right?
It's why Cromlech does such great orcs. Like their hand sculpted Cromlech orcs, go back like 5 years. Even some of their newer computer stuff is not bad because they do pay attention to like the aesthetic. But Cromwell's third-party orcs, they kill it every time.
Yeah, that isn't to say like you have to model in symmetry. Obviously, like you do the extra work to not do that for something like Gazgul, or you ought to. But it's unfortunate that the big cheese of the orcs was modeled with such obvious symmetry in his design.
It's the same with their vehicles. If I go back to so you look at the battle wagon. I really want to show some of the old Forge World stuff, but they obviously don't have any of it on the website because I don't know, it's too much fun.
They don't want you to think about it.
Versus the kill rig. I'll pull up the kill rig, right? So you look at this thing, and it's the same problem, like this even, smooth, curved armor on top of like the squig that's pulling it, and everything is just so neat. Whereas like old school orcs, like the battle wagon, everything's just like a mishmash of panels, like just random riveted plates. And it's like, that's the difference. You know, one was built with Plasticard as the master model, and the other was built with CAD. And it's just wrong to my eye.
That price, by the way.
Oh yeah, Australian price, you hideous. But yeah, it's like, you know, you have the same shoulder pad on each side of the squig. It's just like, it's so perfect. Orcs aren't perfect. You know, one side of the squig should be like a car tire, and the other side should be like a surfboard. You know what I mean? Like, just two completely different objects, and they're just like, yeah, that's armor. It's good enough. You know? That's the orc way. And
yeah, you should communicate their character more, right? Through their aesthetic. Crazy.
Yeah, I just bring it up because I know it's divergent from the themes of the episode, because I do want to talk news, but it's like in the 50th, it's like, you know, something like Pedro, like a legacy model, would have been a great 50th anniversary model.
Oh, yeah, I thought that might have been the case.
But that's like the last Marine I want to give him, where it's like, okay, now Games Workshop, I know it's good, like, I'm going to tie you to a chair, you know, with duct tape and a fucking ball gag in your mouth, and you're just going to have to blink responses to me in Morse code, and we're going to sculpt something else, okay? I know it's going to be really hard, but we're going to do it, you know? So, yeah. Now, on to more interesting news. Total War Warhammer 40,000 has been announced. And things aren't looking good to me. And I know I'm immediately going to set a bad tone to the viewers. But let me explain myself here. I have been playing Total War for some time. I played a lot of Total War back before I got any of it on Steam. The old CD-ROMs back in the day, like Rome and Medieval 2. And
you ever play Dark Omen?
No, I didn't.
Dude, it's free on GOG right now. Play it.
Okay. I'll take the suggestion.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
I'll even pull up my Steam library for people to see. So if I scroll down through my games, all the Warhammer stuff, here you go. Here's what I've currently got on Steam. Some things I rebought them just because I wanted to re-have them, because I don't have a CD drive in my new computer. And it's like, I've got a fair bit of Total War in there. Attila, Pharaoh Dynasties. Like, I've got less popular titles. That's how into it I was. Like Thrones of Britannia and Pharaoh, right? In my Steam library. So I'm a Total War guy. And actually, let me have a look how many hours I've got in some of these. Like, let's see, Warhammer 2, 365 hours. Warhammer 3, 277 hours. You know, and that's just for the Warhammer titles, right? And then I've got another 97 and a half for Warhammer 1, which wasn't very good, I don't reckon. But anyway, I digress. So, played a lot of Total War. Obviously, I'm into Warhammer. And I'm looking at the announced trailer and all that for it. And one, I'm not very keen for Primaris Marines, but that's just personal preference, right? Those who like them, no hate against you. I just would have loved to have seen the old school Marines. And I guess it's part of like the problem with Dawn of War as well, is I like the older stuff. I think it was a little bit cleaner, a little bit more obvious what did what role than the newer Primaris stuff, because there's a lot of overlap in the way units look these days. You know, it's like you've got intercessors, you've got heavy intercessors, you know, like this kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not as clean and clear as like power armor dudes, jump pack dudes, scouts, you know, very clean. And I'm watching the trailer and such, and I'm looking at the artwork, and I'm like, okay, new engine. And then there's one thing that just jumped out to me immediately where I was like, oh no. And that is this FAQ point right here. You read what that says.
Well, some cross compatibility with consoles, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I want to make a point here, and I have some gameplay footage from the Total War Warhammer 40,000 trailer. If I just skip to the gameplay section up the back. Because the game doesn't show you much in the trailer, right, of the actual gameplay.
Mhm.
It's just typical
Yeah, I only saw
cinematic
the trailer.
bullcrap, right, which is fine. But I'm watching this trailer with their pre-alpha build, so AKA what they'll probably release with, knowing Creative Assembly, and it's like, okay, this is all in-game graphics, and then I see this just schmozzle. There's like no strategy, no like picking effective cover to place the units, anything like. It's just a fucking pit in the middle of the map where everyone's just crammed in, right? And then I look at this clunky, large, horrible unit card down the bottom left. Like the UI is just awful looking. The map you can see is tiny, right? Because you can see the units that are off to the side there. They're not far away. And you can see them on the mini-map. So this map here is basically the size of the screen you're looking at. Most of the stuff in the background is off the actual playable map. Like this map is tiny, and they're all just fighting over this one point in the middle. I promise, viewers, this isn't just whinging for the sake of it. I do have a valid point to get to here. All right? Now, what I'm going to show you now is I've just picked a random video, gone like 20 minutes in. This is Company of Heroes 3. Came out like a year or so ago, or 2 years ago. Okay? And you can see this is PlayStation controls. Right? And look at how he's scrolling around the battlefield, selecting his units, slowly moving them up one by one, right? And he's just sort of clicking in a general area of the ground. Like, it's not quick, it's not precise. Yeah. Now, if I go back to Company of Heroes 1, which was Relic, the people who did the original Dawn of Wars, by the way, and this game is like 20 years old. And again, there was no cherry picking here. I just picked a random video. Don't know the guy, not subscribed to them. There's like 2K subscribers. And I just picked a point in the video, right? Like third halfway through. Look at the mouse clicking, the way he's moving the units around.
It's far
right,
quicker, yeah.
Right? Well, much higher degree of control, right? That's the real highlight here.
Yeah. So moving units up. Yep, suppression mechanics, which is always painful in Company Heroes. Yep, enemy's got a
smoke effect
tank.
for a 20-year-old game is pretty good. Like, I've got to say, the graphics cards back then must have been fucking melting.
Oh, there's something. Okay, so he's just gone back and grabbed a weapon off the ground, like that quick, snappy response, right? So he can deal with that tank. Oh, look, the tank is dealt with. Okay, now I refer you back to Company of Heroes 3. Brand new game, 2023, 2024, something like that, right? You look at the game.
Yeah.
Right? Completely different type of strategy game. Okay?
Yeah.
So now if we go to Total Warhammer and watch the gameplay here, and what do you see? Okay, ignore the flashy effects. There's a lot of static units just sitting there. Right?
Yeah.
All these effects, by the way, look like the way magic powers worked in Total Warhammer. You know, like I think it's like in call off map bombardments, obviously. And when you're watching that gameplay, when you're watching like units, see this? These units are just sitting there, the guards, they're shooting through each other. If you did that in previous Total War installments, like you had black powder guns or whatever, and you shot through another unit, it would fuck the other unit up.
Yeah, or like that. So in sort of a Warhammer, the bane of my life. They just won't fire because they're like, oh no, those are my own dudes. I'm not firing through them. Like,
Yeah.
so if you've got like dwarf thunderers, they're so short that they literally won't fire through their own dudes. So you've got to place them on like higher ground behind, or like hope that you can get them around the sides and stuff because they just won't fire through their own men, which makes sense. It's annoying, and archers do a lot less damage, but they can fire over the battle line, which is their big thing.
So yeah, as I watch it, I'm like, this is not a strategy game. That's my concern. That cross-console compatibility, it kills RTSs. RTSs, personal biased opinion, as a man who's been playing RTSs since fucking Age of Empires 1 and Command and Conquer, is they belong on PC. They're fucking shithouse on console because you're compromising the strategy.
Can I just point out another shitty argument people are using to say don't panic about the console thing? So a few big YouTubers that I've seen, Co-Carnage being one of them, and other people, apologists for the industry essentially, have said, "Oh, you don't know yet." And by the way, Crusader Kings and all these other games are on console, and they play just fine on PC as well. They've not been dumbed down. Like, motherfucker, that's completely different to an RTS. Like Stellaris is not an RTS. It's not a real-time strategy game. It is a grand strategy game. It's much slower by design. So of course on console it should work. It's a bit more clunky on console, but it should work just fine, right? You're not going to dumb down Crusader Kings by putting it on console as well, right? Because it literally it's slow enough as it is.
It's almost turn-based.
Yeah, an RTS like Dawn of War, you throw that on console. You've either got to release a broken console game that's bad to play with a controller, which I wouldn't mind, because it just gives you another option to play the game, or you're going to dumb down the PC version and make it a lot slower, a lot more methodical and ploddy for the sake of the console. And you can guess which one they're going to go with, because they never tire of telling us that most of the people in the world are mobile gamers, and by not. Yeah, and this, I'm telling you now, a version of this will come out on mobile. It will. Like, it'll be a dumbed down version, but it will come out on mobile.
They have done Total War on mobile before, and it was awful.
Yeah, I mean, they Tacticus, isn't it? Something like that. They never tire of telling us that console gamers outnumber us. That's fine, but like, the issue is that their hardware is shit. I'm sorry, it just is. It's even the PS5 Pro, it's like 3 or 4 years behind what PCs are now. And when the PS6 comes out, it still won't be as powerful as my PC that I have now. Like, nowhere near. It'll be like half as powerful, and people will be singing its praises. The hardware is not built for RTS games, and there's nothing wrong with that. Your fan base is on PC. That's where it is.
And that's the thing, right? Like, sorry to interject.
No, you go. I'll finish.
The compromises you make to hit that mythical wider audience, we can hit more people to buy the product if we get console. Yeah, but you dumb down and make the experience worse. So instead of having lifelong fans who are like, this is brilliant with the tactical depth of my gameplay, essentially you're turning Total Warhammer into Dawn of War. Like, you have to reduce the scale, and you already see that reduction in scale, because look how many unit cards there are. That's 12. That's 12 unit cards. That's,
yes.
Like, we're going from 20 being the standard in Total War games. And I dare say that it is 12, and this isn't like part of the army selected, because 20 with the 3x3 layout, or 3 tall layout, would be a weird number. Because you just add like another couple rows and then just like one, just random like unit card. It wouldn't look right. So I think that is the entire, unit card box down the bottom here. And this UI just looks atrocious. Like, it just clogs up a huge chunk of the screen. It's like, well, why does it do that? Well, this is the compromises of consoles. Because you need to make these icons really big, so Fat-Fingered Freddy can come over with his controller and select the unit and click on it on the card, because it's too difficult with a clunky controller, right? Because it's not very tactile. It doesn't have that that feeling that the mouse does. And it's not that you can't have strategy games on console. It's just this is the wrong genre of game.
Why does this game exist?
Money.
I'm serious. No, I know that's the obvious answer, but we already have Dawn of War, and it looks like this, and plays like this. So why did we need this? I understand that Total War is different in its Gestalt gameplay when you zoom out and you're adjudicating your empire, and they've since said that it will be like a normal Total War game where you've got the entire galaxy and all this other stuff going on. But in terms of the actual battle gameplay, awesome color scheme, by the way. I'm stealing that. I saw that on the trailer. I love this color scheme. In terms of the actual gameplay, why did we need this? If there is no naval combat in this game, for me, it's DOA. Absolutely dead on arrival. But at the same time, we've got Gothic. So what they're doing is they're bringing a Total War Gestalt engine to manage an empire in the Imperium, which is cool. I like that. But we've already got a Stellaris mod for that. That probably does it better. And then they're going to bring in space combat. We've already got Gothic, which does it better. Do you know what I mean? Like, why did we need this?
You know what I would hazard a guess? I'm just going to throw it out there. I reckon the ship is going to be like your settlement. So instead of building like your operations on a planet, like you would in previous Total War games, it's like you've got a city, like you've got Rome. Now, you want to build a barracks in Rome, you want to build a granary, that kind of thing. It's like your starship is that, right? Here is your, and as you upgrade it, it's like you go from like a destroyer to the cruiser to the strike cruiser to the battle barge, right? That's your tiers of settlement. That's just my guess looking at this, because it looks like, why would you have one ship in orbit and like these controls? It looks to me like the ship is the settlement. All right, the planet is just the battleground. Like, take sectors of the planet, but your settlement is the moving ship. The planet's just maybe the resources or something like to that effect. And I don't know how I like that, because it's so like Dawn of War 1 did this with the Dark Crusade. Yeah. See, we both went there.
Banging, by the way.
Yeah, that's another one I have in my Steam library, by the way.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kaifa, what do you think? Sorry, we're hogging all the airtime.
It's all good. I mean, I'm not entirely disagreeing with anything you guys are saying. I guess I might reveal something about myself. First time. I don't have much experience playing Total War of any variety. So I can't weigh in too much of how this scales relative to past iterations in the franchise, but you guys seem on the ball with your takes here, because I'm looking at the video evidence you are streaming as you're speaking to it, and it's like, well, you can't really deny any of these claims, right? I'll just add that even if you want to make it on consoles, like you want to have a game on various platforms for more sales points, like you can, if consoles are just not as powerful as PCs, which always seems to be the case, you can just have the worst graphic profiles, right? The quality settings for consoles. So that's not like the real issue for me. It's not about the hardware necessarily. I just think it's the user input is what's so key about RTS games. Like, you need the keyboard, you want your hotkeys, you want your macros if you're really serious, right? And like, now, no, you're not going to have those options. If you're doing cross compatibility for console play, you're going to have your 12 buttons or whatever you have, and then I don't know, whatever else you can get on like the D-pad or whatever. I just think it's going to be worse for RTSs. There's no way it's not going to be. It's that restricts your gameplay choice or your game designing scope entirely of like the kind of experience you're going to offer from an RTS game.
I look at this artwork
and unless
as
these
well.
days you can play. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was gonna like add a little comment. Unless these days you can like plug your keyboard into your PlayStation, I don't know. Is that something that's an option that people would do?
You can, but whether or not the PlayStation like UI allows you to use the keys on the keyboard to hotkey, usually it only lets you like use them for text. It really depends on the product. But like looking at this artwork, it's like, well, that's your factions. You got Marines,
that's a bummer
Guard,
too.
Orcs, and Eldar. And they did this with Total Warhammer 1. And Total Warhammer 1, to me, was not a very good game. Because it was like Empire, Dwarves, Undead, Bretonia, Beastmen, and I'm going to say Wood Elves and Norska. It's like, that was it. That was everything in the game, right? And some of those factions, like Chaos, were DLC from day fucking one.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this, it's like, hang on, so it's 40k, and you don't have Chaos Space Marines on here? Oh boy, they're going to release a game with 4 factions. 4 fucking factions.
Mm.
And the rest are going to be DLC'd
exciting.
into it, right? Maybe for money, maybe for free. I doubt for free. CA doesn't really do many free factions. Like, all the factions you really, really want are expensive. So Total Warhammer 1, it was day 1 DLC Warriors of Chaos. For 2, I'm gonna say it was the Zombie Pirates, and I feel like it was something else, another faction. But a lot of legendary lords that you wanted were all paid DLC, which is a big deal. And for Total Warhammer 3, the big paid one was Chaos Dwarves. So,
yeah,
and they say in here in the FAQ there won't be day 1. This is where Chaos Space Marines. Well, they're not in the game at launch. They're absolutely part of our plans at some point. It's like, I understand companies want to do like the minimum viable product thing, like the hey, how little effort can we put in to sell the product right to the customer, like that absolute minimum viable product. It's like I grew up, and I guess this is my old man entitlement. I born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s. When a game shipped, it had to be a full-fledged fucking game. You know, like, yeah. I think something like this needs 8 factions on launch.
Feature complete. I think, yeah, with such a vast universe, I think they are really, really being cute if they bring this out with 4 factions in a universe that has upwards of 20 or 30. I'm not saying we need 20 or 30 because, you know, Warhammer 1 couldn't do that. And we're starting again, folks. You know, you don't go into this expecting Warhammer 3 and its total coverage of the old world style. It's not going to be that. You know, you may get factions turning up like Chaos as like non-playable factions that you fight against, but you're not going to have, you know, the main guys in here from day one, in my opinion.
I just don't want to have these. Like, so Total Warhammer 3 is almost like sometime middle of next year-ish. We should be getting like Nagash in that, right? So it's nearing the end of the game getting everything that it needs. That's 2026. Total Warhammer 1 came out in 2016. 24th of May, 2016. That's 10 years. Do I have to wait 10 years to have a Total War 40k that actually feels feature complete?
Yeah, that's true.
You know, this is my problem with these things, like the long-term nickel and diming. And I get that it's really good for companies financially to do this if they can successfully keep the customer coming back. But I despise it from the standpoint of it has to be a balance. And I always say this, the relationship does not have to be entirely predatory. Like the best relationship you can have between customers and companies is where the customer willingly gives the money because they're happy with the product. Like, you don't have to antagonize the customer. It's not like a rule of, you know, law. Like, no, the company must treat you like shit to be profitable. They must. There's just no other way it can be done to be profitable. It's like, you can treat people well and be profitable. Like, they're not mutually exclusive, you know? And I just think about this because, like, you got to read between the lines. Like, will there be pre-order DLC? No, there won't be, right? But then the next sentence is, more news about the pre-order bonuses will be released later. So it's like, oh, so there is something, right? Because they got a honey dick here with that pre-order. And then how many fucking idiots are going to pre-order it? I imagine heaps. Even though nothing so far that's been shown to us is like, oh, I must have that game. Beyond, hey, I'm a dumbass consumer who has no fucking self-control or impulse control, and I will just buy a thing because it has a Space Marine on it. Like, and if that sounds really harsh, it's like the truth hurts. You know? Like,
yeah.
Imagine if people just didn't pre-order it. Like, they got like 200 pre-orders. That'd be fucking hilarious. I'd laugh my ass off.
I think does it show like? Don't get me wrong. I have the utmost respect for video game developers, because I know how difficult it is. Like, it is, any video game getting made is basically electronic fucking alchemy and magic. It just shouldn't work, and it does. So, are we just seeing the scope of these games getting to the point that, did you know how you solve this, Maka? Right, you just do you look at Dark Crusade and go, well, that worked. Let's just do that. You could even do a single star system, right, solar system, with 7 or 8 planets on it, and you got 8 to 9 factions on there fighting over these 7 to 8 planets. Done, right? Do we really need a Total War game that covers the entire galaxy from day one? I don't think we do. Right?
I don't think it will.
I don't like. Yeah, well, no, it will. They've said it will. They came out and said it's. They showed us the map and showed us the.
No, I think it'll be like Total Warhammer, where it's the galaxy, quote unquote, but then like huge sections of it are just blanked out, because it's like, we'll put stuff there later.
Well, they said on Games Radar, they said the whole that we're going to do. You will be literally running the Imperium, or running, trying to take over the galaxy in the game. So unless they're really ad-libbing there and really pushing their luck in what they say, I'm assuming, from what they've said, that they're going to actually have the entire galaxy there, which to me, even if you had like 50% of the galaxy there to conquer, like you've just said, that's still way too much. That still is like, you're biting off more than you can chew. You're making a big mistake. You should have one solar system, even make it like Armageddon. Have the Armageddon system there, or something like that. We're going to finally end the Armageddon wars in this game. This is what's going to happen, right? We're going to have all these different dudes fighting over this one system. That'd be cool. That'd be great. And you could keep the scope manageable, and you make it deep, not as wide as a puddle, as deep as an ocean. You make it like that rather than the other way around. I just think if we see this before 2030, I'm going to be surprised. I'd be surprised. I don't think we are.
I think they'll rush it out in 2 years.
I'm going on it being complete, like actually a game that works. So 2030 for me. But
I'm just remembering back to Rome 2, and because I was playing Shogun 2 before Rome 2, obviously, because that's the releases of the games, and I remember how happy I was with Shogun 2 and how fucking depressed I was with Rome 2 on launch, and all the promises that were made for Rome 2. Like, you go back and watch one of my favorite ever YouTube critiques was a guy called Reynolds Sanity. I know it's like the most random YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And he just did basically only ever did a few videos, and 2 of them were on Rome 2, and fuck, they were funny. It's part of what got me into YouTubing. Was this guy's if you don't play Total War, right, Kaifa, go watch this Reynolds Sanity's critique on Rome 2. Fucking hilarious.
I'll check that out. Oh yeah.
Actually, I have a funny story about that. Is that I was in university when Rome 2 came out, and I was doing ancient history and classics and ancient warfare at uni, and we were all massive into Total War. We'd have Shogun 2 parties and tournaments, and shit like that on our LAN, because in our university, we had really nice rooms, but we had access to the internet in our rooms. But we couldn't get past the firewall to actually play online. So we could play it on the internal, network, which is great because that's all we wanted to play with anyway. So we'd have tournaments and stuff. So when the countdown came for that game to come out, Rome 2, it was awesome. and it came out over the break as well, so we all got to play it over the break. I came into that first lecture with all the lads late, and we were going to discuss the game with our lecturer, Mark Warmer, who was also a big gamer. And it was like a funeral. It was like everybody was just shell shocked with how shit this thing was. It's just like, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Like I remember cavalry charging right through phalanxes that were bracing and ready for them. That kind of shit. And you could just, the whole thing was broken on release, like completely broken.
One of the biggest laughs I ever had at a YouTube video was, of all people, it was an Angry Joe video on
Yes,
Rome
I remember
2.
that, yeah.
And it's when the trireme comes out of the water and he's just going across the sand dunes to the David Lynch Dune soundtrack.
Yes.
Like the sandworm just gliding across the beach.
Absolutely. By the close up of their faces, they just look demonic and possessed in the battle line.
Yeah, everyone's like horrid faces. Yeah. So there's some history here, Kai-Fi, with Total War.
Yes.
That's why I'm so passionate in this video about it.
They've got form.
And plus, I will also add, I'm shitting on people for impulse purchasing, and because it's 40k, I mean, I've got to buy it. It says 40k on the box. But, like, I'm a big Legend of Total War watcher. I don't know if you guys ever watched him, but probably not. But Legend of Total War is one of my favorite YouTube channels, and he has just been shredding Creative Assembly lately because of the way they've been handling, like, just basically leaving bugs in their games that they can easily patch out and not patching it because they're putting all the developer time into working on these other titles or into DLC when there are obvious major flaws in their existing games that they can patch out, among other things, right? And, like, he's saying the same things I am, basically. Like, why would you pre-order this type thing? Like, that's his big point, is don't pre-order this shit. Like, send the developers a message. And that leads me into the next topic at hand, which is Arch Warhammer has been talking about the content creators for Warhammer. And he made a video called The Parasites Destroying Warhammer, the Content Creators. And basically lays the blame squarely at the feet of YouTubers, among others, primarily YouTubers, for the woes that we have in the hobby currently. Now, and he did a follow-up to this, Stamford Bridge episode with Sargon of Akkad. Now, I have chatted with both of these gentlemen several times before, and I know some people do not like them or their political persuasion or anything like that. I actually am a big fan of both of them, controversially, that may be. But I've had nothing but pleasant exchanges with both of them, and they've been nothing but absolute gentlemen to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And I will judge them entirely on the content of the character as I have dealt with them.
100%.
And I will not speak for either of you in this, but that is my own personal experience.
I'm the same.
100% back them. And I found this a very interesting topic, because in here he's talking about how basically he's not so much naming names, obviously a couple in there like Major Kill, who I'm not a big fan of either. We've had our headbutting. But essentially it's if you're not railing against Games Workshop's practices, you're basically enabling them. If you're seeing them damaging the law, and rather than saying like, hey, this is contradictory, instead you try and rationalize it, you're basically enabling the bad behaviors. And so the content creators have more say than any fans do. If enough content creators all turned around and said to Games Workshop, we're not happy, you would see action. All right? The closest you come to that is something like the Horus Heresy, where enough people screamed loud enough and enough fans screamed loud enough because the YouTubers showed them all the leaks that happened for Horus Heresy, where Games Workshop like quickly rushed that like 200-page FAQ out the door, right? Like, oh, we swear we had this planned. Like, that's why we said we would release it last week, and we took an extra week to release it because we definitely weren't adding anything last minute. It's like, okay, you know, and essentially, like, yeah, YouTubers have not been vocal enough in advocating for the rights of the consumers, and I actually think he has a very valid point. I don't know that I'd make it the same way he has, but I do agree with him. Because it's something I've tried to do myself and probably failed because of my very combative style over the years. In that, you know, I've tried to raise awareness, probably the wrong way to phrase it, but it's like I've tried to say to people, you need to send a message to the company. You know, don't just go out and impulse buy the product. You know, if something's crap, say it's crap. Don't just go, oh, it's acceptable because it's Warhammer. You know, when a model comes out, it shouldn't be like, it's okay. It should be like every model that comes out should blow your socks off. There shouldn't be divisive models. And I know it's going to sound really weird to people to be like, well, what do you mean there shouldn't be divisive models? It's because they state themselves they're a miniatures company. Their whole shtick is making miniatures. It's like their one job they have is making the best miniatures in the world. Now, you can argue that on a technical level, their models are really, really good. I don't think they are on a technical level. I think they're very crisp models, but their mechanical manufacturing techniques are not the greatest. They don't do proper slip molding or anything like that, like 3D details. Instead, they just cut pieces up into 400 parts in order to get you the detail, which is really frustrating. But on the whole, Games Workshop stuff could be so much better. And it's like your one job is producing quality miniatures as a company. There shouldn't be models where it comes out and it's like, is that it? Is that the best you could do? Like, does that make sense to you guys? Like, I know I've just thrown a lot at you both.
Well, 100%. Like, I can't help but agree with the framing of Archer's point as well. Like, for sure, the content creators, influencers will influence the narrative. I mean, that follows.
Yeah, I think a lot of Warhammer has been one of those, and Total War has been one of those ecosystems that has been heavily saturated with bad actors in YouTube for a long time. One of the most saturated, actually. And it is to the point now where you have to be very careful about who you trust to tell you things about Warhammer and Total War and everything in between, because we just don't know. And a lot of these people don't want to rock the boat. A lot of these people don't want to rock the gravy train. I mean, we're okay because we've never had a gravy train. So, you know, we're safe from things like that. And I will never have a gravy train because I burnt my bridges a long time ago, right?
Same
in terms of, yeah, I mean, like, you know, the one thing they will never forgive you for, that's flying the nest and like talking about them. That's it. You're persona non grata, and I'm very thankful that the people on the ground level still say hello to me when I go. But I know if I run into like middle management or upper management, I am in doo-doo. I am going to be not getting shouted at, but definitely getting glared at, to say the least. So yeah, we're not getting any sort of gravy train. And it's really hard to find honesty around Warhammer these days. And on both sides, by the way, because there are some people out there who will sensationalize the tiniest little fucking thing and will say, oh, Warhammer's gone woke. And it's like, no, dude, come on. Like, that's... For all of those, please stop saying shit like that, because there are things out there that are actually what you're talking about. And the more you cry wolf to get views, the less it will matter when it actually does come around. When they actually do have female Space Marines, okay, you'll still get your numbers. You know, guys like Arch, you'll still get your numbers, but people won't listen to our concerns because you keep talking about shit that isn't that like it is to get views.
Well,
and,
if you want to talk the politics of that particular thing, right?
Yeah.
The thing that jumps out to me is there are bad faith actors within the company. We know this, right?
I can still hear. One sec.
We've all heard things like the Mendelssohn, for example, right? All of those tweets and Facebook posts and the mocking of like Charlie Kirk's murder and all of this kind of thing, right? And it's like the same company that's still employing that guy is the same company that released the "You will not be missed" statement. It's like, that's your politics, right? But I don't want to talk about that. You know, I think it's not that it's a dicey subject necessarily. It's just, it's, to me, on the surface of it, and I know this is going to sound really naive because I'm not naive when it comes to politics, but the naivety of it is that I just want to pretend that everyone on the surface of it looks at it and goes, yes, that is insane as a fucking viewpoint and reprehensible morally that a person can hold that opinion and is still employed by the company, even with the company going out and making their bullcrap statements. So I don't need to talk about it because on the face of it, it's absurd. I know that's not true. It probably does need to be talked about. But then if I do talk about that, like, what kind of an environment is that creating? Like, hey, just a positive reinforcement for all of you that agree with me already. This thing is bad, like murder, bad. And those of you that are cheering at it and are now pissy at me, like, I can't change your opinion. So me talking about it has done nothing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So yeah, it's, you know, shocking, right? But it's like that's part of why I don't talk the politics thing. I got very strong political views, but like,
I'm not even saying that art is wrong a lot of the time. Like, he's not. It's just, I've just noticed sometimes, you know, these YouTubers will have a slow week, so they'll just make something up. They'll just go, "This is Warhammer's going woke." And it's like, dude, shut up. No, it isn't. Like that. It is in certain ways, but not in the way you're talking about it. You know, Discourse Miniatures does this all the time. She'll have a slow week and she'll just get a random article that doesn't mean what she says it means, and we'll just talk about it like it's some sort of, you know, smoking gun. And it's like, no, dude, like, when we do actually have a crisis, no one's going to listen to us anymore. Because of people like that.
And this is the problem, right? This is part of why I've been recording less and less and less and less of late, because it's like, oh, I don't have anything positive to say. What do I want to actually talk about? I don't want to be the guy that just uploads a video for the sake, hey guys, it's been, I don't know, 4 days since you last heard from. I'm just putting out a video, so, you know, I'm still here, and I don't know, I get some YouTube bucks or something. I don't know. You know, like, I don't want to be that guy. To double back on the point you made earlier, though, North, when you mentioned, like, the people on the gravy train, I get 3D printers sent to me. I've done a review of one right now. They want me to add the affiliate link in. I hate adding the affiliate links because, like, if I do that and someone buys on my recommendation, I have a financial incentive there to encourage them to buy on my recommendation. So my thinking is, if I don't give an affiliate link, I therefore get nothing out of the review beyond maybe the fact that I got a printer in the first place. Spoilers, doesn't mean much to me now. I have many, many, many printers. I got like 27 printers in my print farm. So getting a new printer isn't the selling point where it's like, oh my God, it's arrived. I have to, you know, no, I've got a heap of fucking printers, right? You know, cash is much more welcome. I have a newborn. Cash is much more welcome. And I've got an Australian mortgage. Those who don't know, Australian mortgages are fucking primo shit. They are fucking expensive. So, like, as far as giving people honest videos, I do that. The other thing is, I don't let people tell me what I can put in my videos. I've made a minor exception there in that I've put the video on private on upload to show the company first because they asked me to. They watched it. They did not say to change anything. So the credit where credit is due. And I did say that to them up front. Like, if I have an opinion, it's going in the video. If you can clarify something and say, well, actually, you did this thing wrong, this step wrong, or something to that effect, I will change the video, right? They have not said to change a thing. So kudos to them, to the company. It's the Hey Gears Reflex RS Turbo, for those who are curious, which did perform incredibly well, by the way. But then I look at Warhammer YouTubers, and they can't really pull that shit because, well, when I have a whole bunch of printers and I say it's not really an achievement for me to get another printer when I have many already, Warhammer's a bit different. Because every time you get new Warhammer miniatures, it is something new, and you're often getting that content well before anyone else is. So the thirst of the audience to see the new models, to see them painted up, to see you doing the conversions or anything like that, is what drives the views. You're not going to have those people coming out and being like, yes, I got a new copy of, Warhammer 40,000 11th edition, and it's fucking shite. Like, don't buy this product. It's never going to happen. Never going to happen. Like, they always try and have, like, that backhanded compliment. Look, it may not be what everyone expects out of the game, but, if you can look past its flaws, you actually might really enjoy the product. It's, like that real estate speak, like, it's rustic. It's a fixer-upper.
I've seen...
Yeah.
I've seen certain people not like certain models that have come out. I've actually seen. I know this is a collector's item. I have seen Valrak actually really hate on models before that have come out. So I'll give him that. I have to give him that. I have seen him actually lambast Games Workshop for a low quality model once or twice. But the amount of these channels where you're right, like 99% of the time, most of the channels, I can't think of a time where they've actually gone after Games Workshop fairly and said, listen, this product here, they either won't cover. Do you remember what was the Kotias, right? When Kotias came out, big dumpy Kotias with his big fat ass, right?
Yeah, with Wallace and Gromit's the pants.
Yes. That was not. Valrak was the only one who took that to task of the main guys. Everybody else, silence. Even like mid-level channels, absolute radio silence, didn't mention it, and but when the next Space Wolf thing comes out, they'll be all over that and they'll be chomping at the bit to get it, saying you should go get this. I've even had arguments with Valrak in comment sections and online where we've in public where we've said, look, I think it was 1 week I was really celebrating him for what he was saying about Kotias, saying, listen, you can't support this. Is what he was saying. You do not go and buy it. You can't. Like, this is terrible. You need to hold this company to a better standard. And then the very next week, they release something like Space Marine adjacent. And he's like, oh, guys, you've got to go support the company. You've got to go buy this. You've got to go pre-order this to make sure that they know that you want it. I'm like, dude, pick a fucking lane. Like, which is it? Which is it? And he's like, well, what, can't I do both? No, you can't, because it's fucking whiplash, dude. I'm not saying you can't give your honest opinion, but tone it down. If you've just said, I'm sorry, you can't support this company when they do shit like this, and then not even a few days later, they release something you like, and now all is forgiven. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is the attitude that gets me. And I don't know with these content creators anymore. I think the Warhammer space is so saturated with them. I'll call them out. Tabletop Tactics, people like that. Thank you, Games Workshop, for sending us this early. Okay, well, we know that you're never going to give us an honest fucking opinion then, because that's it. You can't not get this early, because that's what the algorithm. People watch your videos to see what's in these books before they get to see what's in these books, quite frankly.
People will say things like, oh, that's not fair to say because, insert channel name here, like pick your channel, got the models early, but they weren't really happy with them. It's like, well, did they build them and fucking paint them and put out a video about them? No, they didn't just open the box and say, actually, this is pretty shit, and then close the box, and then that was the video. It's 2 minutes long. They don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even the ones who are critical are not very critical in the scheme of things. Maybe I'm overly critical. In fact, I'm definitely overly critical, but that's because I've said it before and I'll say it again. My critique is there and so much more obvious than my commentary for what is good, because it's like, well, you know it's good. And if you want it to be glazed, there are thousands of channels glazing the product. There are very few channels that are going to sit here and tear the product apart. So if you're here, you're probably here for the tearing of the product apart. If you just want me to glaze it, I can, but what are you actually getting out of it? Just a bit of confirmation bias, like model is fun, model is cool, you're really happy?
I mean,
you know what I mean?
I think honesty is what people want. I think if your honest opinion is this is really cool, then say that. You know what I mean? Like,
well, if they do well, I give them the praise.
I say no. Exactly,
we all have, right? We've all three of us have complimented them when they've nailed it. Like if I go on Kiefer's channel and he's doing a video about, the army rules of a certain faction. He'll bring up one of them. I know I'm talking about you in the third person, like you're not in the chat with me right now. It's very rude of me. But like you're in all fairness, you'll be like, hey, this army here has awesome army rules. Check this out. This is how they work, how thematic it is, how awesome it is. Like, this is right. This is what you should be doing. On the other hand, there is this army, which has these faction rules, and these are fucking terrible, and here is the reasons, right? That's totally fair way of doing it. You don't then spend 8 minutes of your video talking about why one set of rules is great, and then give an equal 8 minutes to the other one. You're just like, look, this is great for these reasons, 1, 2, 3. All right, now, the crux of the video, the next, and you do that in like the first 30 seconds. The rest of the video is, this is crap, here's how we fix it, right? There is nothing wrong with that approach. It's just people... No, last Grimdark therapy, people get up us because they're like, oh, how can, this is all negative. It's like, well, it's not. We gave heaps of models compliments. It's just you selectively focused on the negatives because I guess we spend more time dwelling on them.
Yes. I mean, and at the end of the day, I think people don't have a lot of money these days. And so they are more rightly served by somebody calling something out for being bad than they are somebody saying, this is good and you should go buy it. It's like, okay, well, I'm sorry, I don't have limitless resources, so I need to be very careful about where this money goes. And if every content creator is telling me that this is good when all they've done is open the box, sniffed the plastic inside and said, yeah, that'll do. Right? That's not serving the customer, That's just not where we are. I don't think we're in a place in 40k where we have customer advocacy.
No, I've given up. I've really given up. Look how a few videos I'm putting out. I've tried. I tried for years and years and years.
Okay.
All I get back was comments.
The big. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No,
most of you don't want it.
Yeah, comments just saying like nothing ever makes me happy.
Yeah, no, I'm serious. No, most of you, I'm not talking to you two guys. I'm talking to the audience. The reason you don't have customer advocacy because most of you don't want it. Because when we give it to you, you shout at us. So why would somebody like Circle, like Kiefer, why would we bang our heads against the wall getting abuse by just telling you our honest opinions and what maybe you should or shouldn't buy? If 90% of the feedback we get is you're just overly negative and you're a Games Workshop hater. Like, why would you bother? If you want to waste your money, if you want to invest in a company that doesn't give a shit about you or its own heritage or past or whatever, going back to the start of the video, have at it. Have at it. A fool and their money are easily parted. And that's fine. And the amount of... Circle's not the first person I've had this conversation with in this industry, in this sphere. The amount of people who've been run off from saying, listen... this product isn't good enough, or who now just don't even cover it at all. They just cover lore now because they know if they cover different models, they just get hate. They just get headache. The life is stressful enough, Macca's just had a baby and all that. Like you can't. You literally. There are certain times. I've just had some issues, health issues. There were I had to just step back from doing certain videos because I'm not inviting this into my life right now. Like you're not the most important thing, so fuck off. Like I'm not doing this video, right? There have been multiple scripts I had ready to go that would have gotten me a lot of traction, but also a lot of controversy that I just dropped. It's not worth it.
You will sit there as an ex-Games Workshop employee and be like, here is, in my experience of being a Games Workshop employee, how the company thinks of you and Bob, and people will just go, that's not how it is. And I'd have that where they're like, hey, as a guy who ran a plastics factory for 4 years, who's an engineer, this is how their molding system works. This is what it should cost. This is how you can improve the product. And people will be like, what the fuck would you know? You don't work there. It's like, yeah, you're right. You know, unless I work in exactly that. But it's like if you're a bartender at one bar, how could you have any opinions about another bar you don't work at? You know? So, yeah.
We're still serving Jack Daniels, dude. Like, it's still the same fucking thing. It's just in a different glass. You know, that kind of thing. It's just, yeah, I've had that all the time. People saying, well, you know, you've not worked there since. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I've still got more experience than you.
I feel bad because I've been gas bagging. We've both been gas bagging, and I haven't heard from Kiefer in ages, so I feel really bad. So I'm just going to let you talk for a bit.
I think what you're both highlighting is there's a, and I was going to make this, I was thinking of interjecting, brought this up, but I don't think people want honesty, man. I think a large portion want that affirmation. There's something, this is all gut intuition based. I haven't done any sample groups or anything like that, but it's all vibe check. I really get the feeling there's a vast majority of people so invested, maybe it's like a sunk cost fallacy thing, but they want their I mean, it might not even just be financial investment. It might be an emotional investment. They just want it to be validated. And I think that buys in, that trickles into everything. Even like when we were talking about Turtle War earlier, we were talking about we must buy it because of Space Marine, right? Or maybe because 40K might have been what you said, Maka.
Yes.
And I think that's all feeding into this like root cause where I think there's just a bunch of people that would feel bad if what they're attached to is not perfect, which is a crazy position to have, like to tie yourself down or in such a way, like emotionally, or tie yourself in, might be a better way to put it.
Yeah.
With the status of product and company performance. And it's like, I don't know. That's my vibe check in like my local. Even just like reading, I don't know how swayed comment sections are by type. If a certain type of people will always get the same kind of videos, and then you get this disproportionate perspective on different audiences, probably is the case. But
well, I think a lot of people just want to be happy, right? So, but put it this way, like if Maka,
right?
Yeah, if Maka doesn't like a model, a lot of people who've invested a lot in that model and they really want it, they won't just say, okay, that's your opinion, I have mine, and I'm still going to get this model. They all feel attacked because their mental fortitude isn't strong enough to withstand Maka's opinion being different to their own. They will then internalize his opinion, and they will know deep down it will start to change their own, so they don't want the model anymore, so they get upset, right? That's a you issue. That's these people. That's a you issue. If you felt this way, that's on you. You know,
I don't disagree.
I've had some hilarious moments though over the years where I would still say the majority of what I get on my videos in comments and that is positive from viewers. I do get quite a few people who comment like, you know, negative stuff. But my favorite is when I'll pick out a model and I'll be like, look, here's my reasons. I always lay them out, right? I'm very blunt about what I do and don't like about a model. And I have very distinct opinions in my head about what a faction should look like. Like, these are design cues that I'm looking for in a particular faction. And I've had it before with things like, you remember the Mark 6 Space Wolves wolf heads for Horus Heresy, as an example?
Yeah.
Right? In fact, it's just pretty much anything Space Wolf for Horus Heresy. And I've been like, these are terrible. And had people in the comments being like, oh, these aren't that bad at all. And then, you know, they get removed and a different Mark 6 head comes in instead, which looks much better. And then those same people are like, oh, these are way better than the last ones. You're like, hang on a minute. You were the motherfucker that was, you know, shitting on me and defending Games Workshop like 8 videos ago. You know, I do get a kick out of those moments where it's like, hang on, motherfucker. I get the Leonardo DiCaprio like sitting forward in the chair meme. Like I've fucking seen that shit. Yeah, I've had a bit of that over the years. There were people who I did a video years and years and years ago, like 10 years ago nearly, which was on the Primaris Marines, the right idea for the wrong faction. And in that video, I think it's my most either my most down ratio or like the second most down ratio video I ever did, where people would, my main point, and I stand by it, was Primaris Marines should have been a reaction to someone like Fabius Bile making better Chaos Space Marines. If you absolutely have to have Super Space Marines, they should be a reaction to, right? Like the Imperium being so desperate, they start breaking rules. I didn't feel that the Imperium was that desperate because they seemed to me to be winning. Just thanks to the poor writing in the background lore. And I'm like, why couldn't you have Fabius Bile, who's a great villain, come back making enhanced Chaos Space Marines, and then the Primaris Marines, therefore, are a lot easier to swallow because they don't just fall out of the fucking sky. They're a natural reaction.
Yeah, it's a great way to frame it. I like that. I mean, I don't like it, but I like it more.
Yeah, if you gotta absolutely have Primaris Marines, right? So that was my contention at the time, and I copped a lot of flack on it. Well, fast forward a decade, who's got egg on their face now? Because I think a lot of the things I said in that video panned out to be very, very true. Because I said at the time, like, how can you call things like Chaos a threat when your guys are just better?
100%.
And then you would remember what happened in the rules of 8th edition. Primaris get 2 wounds. How many wounds did Chaos Space Marines have again? Remind me.
1.
Yeah.
Glorious 1.
Yeah.
Like a guardsman.
It's like, no, Chaos is a real big threat, guys. It's super serial about this. Trust me, guys. It's like, yep, see, that was the point I made. And yet I got fucking obliterated because people couldn't see past, but new model look cool. I liked big marine, better proportions.
Yeah.
So I will dislike your video making points about the story, not the models. Yeah.
I think that issue has a problem with the modeling side. If I'm honest, it all affects the same reason.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, I'm at the point now where it's like every video I make that is critical about the company, I get the people in the comments saying you're just negative about everything. I'm not, but that is clearly the perception. So fine, I just will make less videos. And I don't really see what there is to be grateful for. Like, if I asked you guys, name 5 things Games Workshop's doing really, really well right now, I'd be very curious to see what you can come up with. Go for it. Right now, 5 things. What are they doing really, really
I don't
awesome?
like this.
And that's the fucking problem.
Yeah.
It should be easy. It should be really easy.
I'm discouraged, yeah.
You should be able to say, awesome quality plastic kits. Are they?
I mean, majority of the time, I think they're fine. In that recent preview we did, it was like majority of those models. I'm like, they're good. They're not like all 10 out of 10, which is like what you should be striving for. But
if the models look good when assembled, the instructions are generally pretty good, right? So these are some positives. The problem is that the instructions tell you to make something like the Terracotta Sentinel, and you've got to put 267 individual parts together for something that would come as a one-piece miniature from Cool Mini or not. So you go, okay, on the one hand, you have an incredibly detailed, really crisp, really sharp, really well-defined model, which makes it easier to paint. That is a good thing. But it's also very, very expensive, and it's very laborious to build to a painful degree. And you don't have any of the fun of doing scale miniatures. Like if I'm building a Panther tank and I've got I'm going to build the whole engine in the engine bay so I can have the engine panels exposed and you can see that big good Daimler-Benz engine in. Okay, that's one thing. The Terracotta Sentinel is a monopose model. There is no other way of building it. There is no interesting quirk. It's just a lot of fucking parts. Like it's 267 parts or whatever. It's like their models are fine.
Great point. Yep.
Right? To be world-beating models, they have to be really good, easy, fun to build. And I don't think they are. I think they're somewhat tedious to build, especially if you're playing Legions Imperialis. You want to build an 11-part fucking Rhino when you literally build them like 10 at a time on the table? Like, hideous.
Yeah, no thanks.
So, okay, so the models, we say, are passable. What else we got? Are there stories kicking ass right now? Their novel series?
No, I would say no. I mean, I think the vast majority, the people who like the positive affirmation, I suspect they believe the Siege of Terra was a banging success and 10 out of 10 story. They nailed the landing, no bumps along the way, right? I suspect that's kind of the perception
Okay.
by the less critical people. So maybe they would perceive like, oh, here we go, the scouring, let's do it, right? Um, so maybe we're more critical than most about the Horus Heresy for sure. I think the game people are more amenable to our views on how the game works and how the company operates. But on the lore side, I think it gets glazed more. Would you agree with that?
But put it this way: if I've placed my hand on something and it's burned me in the past, I will be more critical of it in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, naturally.
That's just how that's a normal human reaction. The amount of times this company has just really, really let me down.
So Ashes of the Imperium, the first scouring novel, is 3.9 out of 5 stars, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of 5-star. That's very interesting weighting, isn't it?
The distribution, right? Yeah.
Like, it's 5 stars. 5 stars saying it's the best novel I've ever read in my life. You know, most novels I rate 4 stars. It's kind of like teachers in school. Like, there's always room to improve. You can't give everyone an excellent mark for everything they do. It's kind of like that same mentality where it's like, is it really the best novel you read?
Well, also looking at that graph,
but the rest seem pretty fair. If anything, 1s might be a little overrepresented compared to 2s.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But you can see the numbers on these are like suspiciously equal, aren't they? And then it's just
this outlier.
Boom. So yeah, just to go back to that point, do we think they're killing it with the lore?
Us, no.
I would say they're keeping people satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going out of their
hyped by the lore.
They're not going out of their way, are they? To like get these novels anymore. They only want the Siege of Terror because it was like the limited edition, and they could fucking scalp them for a lot of $1 billion each. It's not like those like Warhammer adventure books. Like they weren't flying off the shelves. Okay, so they're not doing particularly great on that front. What about on the paints front and hobbying supplies?
I don't hate their paints. Their paint pots are infamous, right? Most of their paints, I think, are serviceable for most colors and brands.
People have been complaining about their paint pots since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I've seen 4-5 iterations of paint pot to get us to where we are, and I think these are some of the worst paint pots we've ever had. They gunk up around the lid. Yeah. I think the screw tops of 3rd edition 40k era were the best lids that they had, because when you seal those bad boys up, I will still occasionally pull one out of like a dusty drawer, open it, and there'll be wet paint inside, and they're 30 fucking years old, those paints.
Yeah.
It's like every single other company in the industry uses drop bottles. So they're behind the times on that. I would say their paint quality is generally, I would say, pretty comparable to companies like Vallejo.
I think so. Yeah, it's not like the tippy top, but
there is nothing special about their contrasts. Some of them are quite good. Some of them are quite poor. I think I prefer inks. So like Intensity, for example, really nice washes and inks. I prefer those.
Yes.
The old Games Workshop Citadel inks were fantastic, like chestnut ink, magenta ink. They were all like really fucking good, if people remember that era. So I would say they're just slowly losing ground because of basically the paint range itself is not being really innovated on. They're just adding more contrast colors. But like the layer paints and that, I would say haven't really changed formulation much for 10, 15 years. They're acceptable, but they're very expensive for what you get. Their brush...
Yeah, that's the thing I was going to add.
Yeah, the brush technology, which is, I would say, is below nobody who's doing fine detail work for Golden Demon is using Games Workshop brushes, right? They're buying like sable brushes out of Russia and shit. So but for a beginner, the Games Workshop brush will be very good. So I guess I'd rate them somewhere around that middle zone, right? Like 3 stars. I think I can rate a lot of their stuff 3 stars. Their figure cases are a lot better in some ways than the old. Remember the old trays that you had with like the 3 rows of 9? It had to be 9. I couldn't put fucking 10 in a row.
It killed me.
But like the figure cases are fine, but they have to be just fine and never any better because they are making their product to suit any army and any faction, right? Which means you have to sort of make a universal case. It'll never be as good as like a KR multi-case, which, by the way, still make some of the best cases going because it's all like nicely cut foam to suit your miniatures. But their website it's fucking old as sin. It's one of the worst websites I've used. I can't believe they still have
it's like 1.0
.com error
website.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
In fact, I'm see if I can pull it up. Hang on.
I haven't been on there in ages.
Multi-case. See if I can pull it up. If their website is still absolute trash. I don't want to defame them. Yes, it is.
Look at this.
Oh. Remember Games Workshop's website used to look like this in 2000, and they've never been the winners of. Like, email us your army was stuck on what to choose. Like, it's just the way it's laid out. This is the most late 90s website.
Yeah, it's so funny.
The only ones I've seen that are still out in the hobby scene that are worse than this are Battletech websites, because there are a lot of aftermarket Battletech, like, bit suppliers and decal manufacturers that have some fucking awful websites. But this takes the case. Their cases are fantastic. I will swear by their cases. Magnetic cases have become so popular lately. I'm surprised that Games Workshop hasn't teed up to do magnetic cases. Like just selling rare earth magnets and so on the hobby supplies front, I would give Games Workshop a solid 3 out of 5 stars. Against 4, do you think I'm being overzealous? Would you give
probably about right. Yeah.
A little overpriced for what you get, but they're not bad products.
Yep, I'd say on the models front, they get 4 out of 5. Because what they have in crisp detail, they lose in bullshit over the top, impossible to transportness, combined with a bajillion parts in the kit.
Yeah, the building experience is not... it's laborious.
Building experience is awful with Warhammer these days, I think, because units that you have to build in hordes, like bulk units, are tedious to build. That's bad. That's a bad thing. So I think 4 out of 5. So they're there, but they need to improve. Their lore, I would give them 3 stars at best. Because for every banger you get in the Horus Heresy, you have fucking 10 fucking awful books by the end of it. I'm going to go purely off Horus Heresy because that's probably the most critically acclaimed series that they did. It had a lot of New York Times bestsellers. You know, like Fear to Tread was the first one on the bestsellers list. It's a shit book. So take that how you will. Like, and when it comes to 40k novel series, when you actually think about it, there's probably only half a dozen series people will name as like really good Games Workshop series. And I think that's the problem. There have got to be hundreds, like solidly into the triple figures of Games Workshop's Black Library's novel releases, right? Have to be, because there's like, what 80 books in Heresy, right? But if I said to you, like Cypher's Kane, Night Lords, Omnibus, Gotrek and Felix, Eisenhorn series, maybe the Araman series, I've pretty much summed up all the really good series, right? So what does that make the rest of the fucking books?
Mid. That's what it is. A big old mid rating.
Mid or worse, right?
Yeah, mid or worse. Yep.
Yeah, because I can't even think of some of the other novels that have come out over the years, right? Maybe, I don't know, Battle of the Fang. Do you have people who are like, my favorite novel is Battle of the Fang? Yeah, exactly. So, like, if I give them 3 stars for the lore, for the novels, I reckon that's being generous.
Yeah, I would agree. I was gonna say even lower because I don't know, like when I look at a narrative series, especially like, or even like Black Library as a whole, it's hard. It's hard to enjoy the outliers that are good when there's other things swinging the overall experience the other way, right? You're kind of spoiling what's good with the terrible,
For every
outliers on the
fulcrum, you
other
have a
end.
legion.
Yeah, well, kind of, right?
Yeah.
That puts it in a good way.
Okay. What about the retail experience? And I'll break this into 2 sections. Online, what is their website like?
Oh, it's much like the paint pot. They continue to get worse over time.
Yeah, they have somehow the enshittification of their website is monumental. How bad it is now. Like I said, when I was trying to find Necromunda once upon a time, I found out where it was in the end. It was like more other games, Necromunda, shop all, and then when you hit that, or now it gives you all of the options, right? It didn't used to. You used to have to click on a tab in filters and then click the specific gang you want. You may remember that from an earlier episode.
Mm-hmm.
So they've cleaned up the website a bit, but it's like that's shit they should have known on day one they released the website. But I would also add to it constantly being sold out on their website and waiting in queues whenever there's any major release. Having things in your cart only to get to checkout and then poof, mysteriously they're gone. I think many people have experienced that, as well as the pre-order woes that have occurred.
Yep.
So I would say their online retail experience is definitely 2 stars. Argument could be made for 1 star.
Yeah.
Website is functional to some degree, but the infrastructure behind it is woeful.
Mm-hmm.
Retail in
Very
stores.
annoying.
What is the in-store experience like with Games Workshop?
I haven't been to a Games Workshop store in a while. I had a good manager at the store last time I went there, though. He was a pretty chill dude, so it was good because of the individual who happened to be facilitating the store. But
So I'm gonna put it out there. The further they are from Warhammer World, the better they are.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
100%. Every store I know of in the UK is an Apple store right now. It's just empty, sterile. Do you want an intro game? No, get the fuck out. That's basically their attitude. So yeah, I would agree.
So into the early 2000s, you could walk into a Games Workshop store. You had your veteran nights every Thursday night. It was Games Are On.
Oh yeah.
Right. Friday nights was you're the newbies who are coming up in the world. Like come in, learn how to paint your models, sit there at the painting table working on your models. It was encouraged, and there'd always be a dozen people in the store on Thursday and Friday nights, both nights until close time. Everyone knew everyone. Yeah. The employees and the patrons would go out and have dinner together. Right, really awesome atmosphere. Right, with fucking 80s metal just playing the whole time you were there. Right, that was my experience.
Mm-hmm.
I think modern stores, you go into it and there's just one depressed looking salesman half the time who's usually a really nice guy. I can't speak to the UK experience, but definitely in Australia, almost every retail store I've walked into for Games Workshop have had a really positive attitude. They're a really nice guy, very down to earth. If somehow the topic of, because believe it or not, I don't lead with, I'm Macca from the outer circle and I'm here to shit on you. I don't tend to lead with that when I go into a store. And they'll tend to be pretty polite. So like, hey, what's going on, dude? What are you in for today? And it's like, yeah, I just wanted to come in and browse, played a bit over the years and, just want to see if anything catch my eye. And they'd be like, yeah, no, that's cool. What kind of stuff you play? Like very normal conversations. And
these are the kind of conversations I would get shouted at for, by the way. Like literally what you just said is how I used to speak to customers, and I would get disciplined for that. Like it'd be like, that was a terrible conversation. Like that was a terrible interaction.
yes,
Why did you?
company
You know,
hates.
like why like a normal person? Like I'm not a fucking android, dude. Like you're all fucking nerds. All right, you don't know how to speak to normal people. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you were bullied in school by people like me. I'm really sorry. But at the end of the day, I know how to speak to normal people, and you fucking don't. You have no business training me how to get people to buy models by speaking to them, because you're an AI trapped in a human body. You're an autistic nerd, and you don't know how to speak to normal people. I don't. If you need to give me a fucking black file of facts on how to speak to people, you're weird. And you're going to freak people out. All right? Some guys out there aren't just not charismatic. You just know how to speak to people to find common ground. Hey, dude, what are you in for today? Oh, that's cool. You're working on a project? That's awesome, man. Do you have any pictures on your phone I can see? That's awesome. Yeah, they're those colours over there be the ones you want. Yeah. Anything else you need? Oh, some Space Marines. Yeah, cool. Right, they're over here. Right, that's how you speak to a customer. You don't just ask them constant fucking questions about, have you heard of Ultramarines? Have you heard of, I not everybody who comes in wants to do an intro game. Shut the fuck up. You're weird. Stop standing there with your hand in your pocket, gyrating your fucking hips. I know you think it looks cool. There is a diagram in the book, in the file of facts, on how to stand when you're talking to a customer. It's one hand in one pocket. Your other hand is free, so you can gesticulate and talk about these wonderful models. And they tell you to sway every now and again. Gyrating my hips at a child? What are you talking about? You're fucking weird. They're weird, man. These are people who don't know how to speak to real people. And they will discipline you for having a normal conversation in one of their stores. You're the problem. And the customer, like Maka, will stand there going, I'll just leave. I'm gonna go, right? Because I'm gonna go. I don't want to see this guy getting shouted at. It's fucking weird. I'm sorry. It really ground my gears. I hated this because this was the one thing I got it in the neck for, and I couldn't change it. Do you know what I mean? It was something that I'm not gonna act like a socially retarded person for you, so I can tick these numbers off on your little file of facts on how to behave with customers. I'm selling more models, just being a normal human being. But the reason why you've worked for Games Workshop for 20 years isn't because you're good at selling models, it's because no other company fucking wants you, because you're weird. You're a nerd. And that's why you've been here for 20 years. That's not success, dude. That ain't success.
So, sorry, while you were saying that, in the background, my dog is snoring. So I just got to go charge the taser so I can Hassan Piker him. But the funny thing with that is, right, the experience of the managers is usually really good because they do talk to you like a normal person. And at the least, they can feign interest in what you're working on, which is nice. It's polite.
Mm-hmm.
And then the minute any of their trainers or upper management are around, you can just see them like suck the fucking enthusiasm out of the employee, especially if it's your regular store. Because like the guy who's normally like really happy and has regular conversations with you suddenly has to be like aloof and standoffish and has to he's under directive, like go over there and fuck that customer right in the wallet. I want you to fuck him hard, and it's like, you can see that he doesn't want to do that. That's awkward. But I would say, on the whole, my interactions are about a 4 out of 5 in stores. Biggest thing that lets down the in-store retail experience is there's basically nothing on the shelves except exactly what Games Workshop wants to sell you in that moment, which is absolutely fuck all of every faction. It's like 3 kits of everything, unless it's Space Marines, where it's like 50 kits, which is really, really frustrating, because if you want to actually see the models and kind of get tactile. Like one thing I loved about blister packs is you could look at them and go, "Oh, there's a bit in there I could convert," or that looks pretty cool. That's a detail I didn't notice. Like, don't have that now because it's all online, right? And it's like you get a fixed angle, the model's painted a certain way. It's not the same experience. So I think that's what lets it down. Between that and the upper management, so it knocks it down 1 star. Would anyone be against that?
I have no opinion because I'm not.
One is where it's at, man. Like,
Yeah.
especially when you consider the degradation of the store's vibe.
Yeah.
Right.
Actually, I'll take it down an extra star to 3 stars. Actually, I'm going to change my mind immediately because you don't get to game in them properly anymore, and proper painting tutorials is not a thing anymore. And all the stores are now these tiny little fucking hole in the walls, pretty much, because the company is tight on rent and overheads, which understandable,
it's not a club, it's a store,
it's not an enjoyable experience in that regard. It's not that dozen people hanging out together experience anymore. It's one guy who can be potentially run off his feet in the store, who's encouraged not to let people play games in a fucking store called Games Workshop. So yeah, 3 stars actually, now that I think about it more.
I'd say 0 because it's literally not for me, you, or Kaifa. So
no, I don't think it's for anyone, like, realistically.
I get the distinct impression I'm not supposed to be in a Games Workshop store when I walk into one.
I don't think a kid is meant to be in there once he's had his painting tutorial and played his starter game.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you need to get out.
So that's a big problem.
It's for people who don't know, who aren't invested in Warhammer, almost, right? Mm-hmm. When you're invested into Warhammer, like if you get into 40K, like you said, you need things beyond what's in the store. You're going to be browsing the full catalog online, and the store doesn't give you any activities. Like, there's no camaraderie or like club based, like no gaming or hobby nights or anything like that. So then, yeah, it's for someone who's walking in and saying, "Oh, what's Games or what's Warhammer?" Because it sounds interesting.
Absolutely.
So I'm just writing down in the background. I'm making a little note list here. Making a little note list.
Of all the rankings?
To record the scores, yeah. Online store.
It's interesting.
Like 2 stars. And again, I say that's being generous.
Yeah, pretty common. All of us rag on GW, but I haven't really done like a thorough, like, let's look at all the various facets, rate it. Like, how would you rate all these different aspects?
Well, I think it's the sake of fairness. People say you only have a negative. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for the ratings. What would you rate things? The game itself. You can break this down into, every single game system: Heresy, Necromunda, Sigmar, Old World. Really, to me, it's what are the great games? What are the shit games? And where does everything else land? And I think you'll find that spectrum really hovers around the fucking 2 to 3 stars.
Yeah,
to the degree that people are going to be saying in about a week's time, I can't wait till 11th edition hits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's probably 2 high 2s if we're going to go on averages.
I'm gonna put 2 there tentatively.
Yeah,
but make your point.
I don't play all the different game systems, so I don't want to I'm going on a gut intuition and perception of how we hear all these different game systems that we don't play being spoken about. It seems to be about high 2s. I know, like, if we just look at 40K, there's a pretty hard divide in how people feel about 40K. If you're a tournament go-getter type, you're trying to be the very best, then you might be enjoying the game experience. But I think if you're someone who likes narrative or thematic games, I think it leaves you very wanting.
So I can really scientific this up. So if I've written game 2 tentatively, but if let's start with the low hanging fruit. Aeronautica, 0. Titanicus, 0, because they're not supported. There is no game. There is no books. There is no nothing. You may say that, thank God, Titanicus is actually a good game to play, because it is, and Games Workshop can't hurt it anymore. So there is that. Warhammer Quest.
But those are hold on, those two examples, would we count them if GW doesn't count them? Like, do they perceive them as a...
If people bought into the system, the models are still currently sold. They're just played in another game system.
Okay, then you know what? Then, yeah, I think that's enough justification. Yeah.
And the way that they were killed was pretty unceremonious. Like,
Ooh,
the way
yeah.
that they just sort of just kept selling the models, kept selling the existing books, then they were sold, but always out of stock. And then it was just, fuck it, they're now a part of Legions Imperialis.
I mean, it's also part of the whole, like, new 40k, right? So, well, yeah, let's count that.
Yeah.
You're right.
All right, Legions Imperialis, I would say a 3. Game is okay. It really suffers from the fact that it's only 2 factions. Fucking Solar Auxilium Marines. Well, sorry, 3 factions, and Mechanicum. Nearly made myself look silly there. And it also has it's spread out over so many books with so little content in those books.
Yeah. With you.
Warhammer Quest. Warhammer Quest is something they remember exists every 5 years and gets really cool monopose models for. And then disappears. How do you rate that? 3 stars?
Probably 3.
The models
probably
are cool.
3.
The game is fine.
Even on a 2, but probably 3.
Right in the middle.
I think in the middle is fair. Yeah. Okay, Necro. I think Necro is pretty damn good. It is spread out over a lot of books. Has fantastic models. I would rate it a 4.
A 4 because of how sparse it is, yeah, in terms of like, what do I need to do to play this? 3 books. Okay, that's a point off. But apart from that, good game.
Yep. Cursed City. Well, should I just count that as part of Warhammer Quest?
Yeah, I don't know. Warhammer Quest is a good game. I like Warhammer Quest.
Underworlds.
Okay, if you're into board gaming and slim down mechanics, I'd probably say 3 for me. Probably 3.
I don't want to give it a 0. I feel like it's actually a rare 1 because it's seasonal. So your miniatures get superseded. Your cards get superseded. So your product becomes non-viable. So if you're collecting them as painting pieces, fine. But otherwise, get fucked. Your warband is...
Which is a shame because I thought that was one of their tighter games.
I think it's a good game. But yeah, the whole seasonal aspect to it and the fact that like if you didn't buy those early kits, you're never getting those kits. I want to rate it a 1 for that because I think it's a real... It's almost Aero Titanicus territory. All right, Blood Bowl.
I know Blood Bowl's like much enjoyed, and we've like gushed about it before in the vibe of it, but I don't know. Like, isn't it prepping for a new edition type thing?
Well, it's moving to that same. It's not in the box, therefore you don't get it model.
Oh yeah.
Which has really split the community. Like the Blood Bowl pages, if you follow any of them, it's a fucking what's it, like a purge night out there right now where like it's just a free for all and you can kill whoever. That's the Blood Bowl community. I think they've had a few good additions of the game. They've had pretty good support, lots of star players. The new edition and if you don't have fucking parts to build it, you don't get it in your rules is really gonna hurt. I'm gonna say 2.
Yeah, that hurts it.
It probably until new edition was leaning in a 3-4.
Vibes 5. Game itself and the way it's been handled 2.
Okay. All right. Warhammer Fantasy.
Oh, kind of.
I can't speak to New Age or New World.
Old World is good. It's a good game. I'm gonna say 4. I'm gonna knock a point off for the frankly insulting prices of some of the models that have been updated. A lot of them have, but a lot of them also haven't, and they're pricing the old sculpts as if they've just come out like last year and they're Age of Sigmar models when they're not. So I'm knocking a full point off for that. I love the old world. I love the game. I really have enjoyed it so far, and I might knock another point off because they haven't even really bothered with the lore so far. They could have done way more with the Emperor and what's going on with Magnus and what's going on with all these other things. But I'm not going to. I think it'd be a bit too petty, so I'm gonna call it a 4.
Well, they said they were going to do like the 3 emperors, and that they would touch maybe like
Exactly.
Magnus and a Savak Kull.
Exactly.
But I think to give it its due, I have to eat humble pie in that I thought Warhammer Force of Battle Fantasy Battles reboot would already be dead because of how they released it and how they've dragged it out. But I guess because it's far enough away from the main line that they haven't fuck-handed it completely. And because of that, the game is actually thriving because it seems that with very few chefs in that kitchen.
I'm sorry, this isn't Games Workshop. They don't deserve the cred for this. The fans did this. The fans forced Games Workshop to support the old world because they bought all the fucking models. Even at that price, the fans love the old world so much. They came out in droves. And they did the one thing Games Workshop can't deny, even if they don't like your game. They told the shareholders, this is where the money is. And the shareholders went, sell more of this, you fucking retards. And so Games Workshop did. They've actually now started to support the game. The fans did this. It had nothing to do with Games Workshop. Games Workshop, Mackie, you had every right to have that opinion because Games Workshop wanted the old world to fail. They wanted to release it, and they go, see, told you, right? They wanted to do that, and it didn't work. The fans said, no, we want this. We're supporting it. Unfortunately, it means Games Workshop wins either way because they get money from the sales. But at least the fans voted with their wallets and said, no, we want this, do more of it. And instead of just ignoring them, that would have been the worst ending if Games Workshop had taken the money and ran. That would have been pure evil, But they didn't. They said, no, okay, you want this, we'll support it. So all credit for me goes to the fans, not Games Workshop. And Mackie, you were completely justified to have that original opinion because if it was left up to Games Workshop, that's what would have happened.
The thread of fate has been severed. Go back to an earlier save.
Exactly.
Horus Heresy 30k. It's not a 0, but it's a 1 for me. They had a 5. They had a fucking 5. By the end of first edition, it was dropping to a 4 because they just refused to FAQ it and cleaned it up. Then they dropped second edition. Second edition was a 3-star the whole way through because it dropped in a playable state but needed to be FAQ'd from basically day dot, and they never fucking did. They never FAQ'd any of it. So the entire edition just blew by with major flaws that were never rectified. We get the new version, and, well, I think the results speak for themselves because nobody's fucking playing it, except in niche circumstances. And I've done a whole video recently on this where I spoke, I think, very fairly. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it's like, I can't say the game is dead, but on balance, looking at my comments section and Facebook polls and looking at just how many events are going around the place, it's fucking dead for all intents and purposes. Nobody's fucking hosting events, right? We went from having a good 8-9 events a year in my state to 0. Not a single one has happened this edition. The next state over, 0. It's just fucking zeros across the board.
It's so like total and clinical. It makes me feel like it was on purpose. Like it's so total and clinical.
Fundamental misunderstanding of the product.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just telling the customer, this is what you want. And the customer saying, no, it's not. And the company going, we don't give a shit. We're not going to change course. Course correction is perfectly acceptable in businesses. It's not a bad thing to do, but a lot of companies treat it as verboten. They say, no, if you course correct, that's telling the consumer that you actually are dumbasses and you have no understanding of your product, and that's bad. So shareholders frown upon that, and boardrooms and chairman of the board, he frowns upon that. So don't ever do that. Don't ever fucking second guess yourself. Just stick with it, even if it's a bad decision. That's a very toxic business mindset, and Games Workshop has that fucking mindset. They just double down on bad decisions, and the Heresy is one of those. They should have just gone, yep, we fucked it, scrapped it, and fucking started over. They didn't. Those who are still with it or have picked it up are probably enjoying it. I have no problems with them doing so. But on the whole, it clearly has tanked with the existing player base. So I'm going 1 star. And if people want to fight me on that, I'm happy to box. Can't do MMA, my knees are no good anymore. Sigmar.
Not going to point off for lore because
there is
still
none.
Not quite. Yeah, they're not quite there yet. The game itself really good. Models really good. So I can't. Yeah, it's a 4 for me. Like I enjoy. I'm going to knock off. No, I'm not going to. I'm going to fold this into why I've knocked off another point. So this is still 4. The actual rules themselves are good, but not very well written. When you decipher the rules, you think, oh, this actually works really well, right? The rules themselves, the syntax they use, the words that they use, the phrasing that they use is typical Games Workshop. We have not proofread this or playtested it, and they got lucky. like the game is actually really good. But when you actually read the book, you're thinking, hang on a minute, you've got to like flip back many times. If you've got to do that with a game like this, you failed. You should be able to read it in one sitting and go, I kind of get the gist of how this game works, and I want to play. You shouldn't be reading the rules and going, wait, hang on a minute, that's not what you said before. Let me just double check. Maybe it is worded that way. I don't know. Right, the rules aren't very well written, but they are good rules. It's really weird.
I want to knock it down another one. I want to go down to a 3. And Kaifa, you're going to have to be the deciding vote here. You might want a 2, actually, so that's going to make it really awkward. I'm going to say it's at least a 3, if not a 2. And very strong reasons for this are, 1, forcing new editions out when the editions of Sigmar are really not that broken. Second ed wasn't so busted that it needed a third. Third wasn't so busted it needed a 4th. And this is a huge problem with Age of Sigmar because it invalidates all the books every time. So there's that problem. And the fact is, like, it's not like a 40k where it's like the earth has been salted and you must move to a new city. It's like, oh, this probably needs an FAQ, and it just never arrives. That's one thing. The second thing is the models are often pretty kick-ass. However, factions in Age of Sigmar range from Stormcast Eternals, where it's like there are 50 fucking kits and you can't even get all the kits in your army, and that's after they culled like 25 kits, to, hey, you like Slayers? Now imagine those Slayers have golden runes embedded in their skin, and there's 3 kits.
Yeah, that's your army.
That's it. Just repeat these same 3 kits over. Right. That running that gamut of some factions are really well supported and some are fucking dog shit is a huge problem for me, because who wants to play those factions? You start ending up not seeing those being used, or it feels very min-maxy. So I think that's a huge detraction. So I want to say 3.
I'm a bit more forgiving in that respect. Maybe this is off base. You tell me what you think. I almost feel like that's a constraint. And if you're in the of writer for the next edition of 4th edition, this current one of Age of Sigmar, I feel like you're kind of working with these constraints. And I feel like despite the constraint being so terrible, because I think those are awful problems, the limited shelf life of an edition and the lack of model or kit supports for some ranges is very terrible. Like, it's glaring in Age of Sigmar. But despite all of that, I do agree with North. Like, it seems like there's a much tighter, probably the tightest core rule set of their present large-scale game systems.
I'll go 4
right?
then.
Because high 3, We'll take the middle. Like it's. I don't think.
I think 3. Yeah, we would go between the 2. Yeah, 3 would be best.
Those constraints are terrible, but all the game systems suffer from them. So maybe they're all nerfed in that respect.
All right, we've got 2 to go. Kill Team.
I like Kill Team, but I think it's a fun little slice of game experience where you're in, you're out.
Haven't they kind of ruined it though with the current edition, like, of rules?
Like, well, this is where I was going with it. I've soured on the perception of Kill Team, and it's because of, again, similar to the problems you laid out, Maka. It's another pervasive problem. It affects all or many of Games Workshop's game design choices, at least new era Games Workshop game design choices, where it's just the war gear being like removing customization. Because it's not even about war gear being in the kit, though that does affect it. It's just you're so limited on the customization of your dudes where it's all what is in box only. And in Kill Team, yeah, you're not doing a whole army, so the player expression isn't as much of a yield as it would be when you do a whole army and see someone's player expression. It's much more impactful because of the sheer effort of it all. But I still think it is a thematic loss for Kill Team. And then that's how all the game systems are suffering in the same way, because those tendrils kind of are feeding into all of their design sensibilities, as far as I can tell. So and then there's the other element of Kill Team where it sours over time because of the seasonal element, right? Because now I put together an Orc Commando Kill Team, and I really like my guy, customize them, and then now it's like, oh, phased out for the next season. Like, this is no longer valid, you could say, right? It's like the Legends thing.
So what would you rate that as a number?
For me too, maybe the competitive the Kill Team does have a competitive audience, so maybe they would be like, oh, no, it's so perfect, as good as it could be. I don't mind switching because it gives me a new challenge to switch to a new army. And isn't that the fun of the hobby, building models, building a new team, right? So I think it'll depend on spin. I'll probably go, for me too, I could see people thinking it's a 3 or 4 though.
North?
In terms of Kill Team, I think I think it fails at what it wants to do. Kill Team was always brought out as a smaller alternative to 40k. You don't have as much time, so you can play some Kill Team, and it's a really, really fun time to be had playing that game. I think modern Kill Team fails at that. I think modern Kill Team is weirdly more complex at times than 40k can be. So for that, I'm going to reinforce Kiefer's 2. I'm going to say 2. In terms of how it's handled and how it's done, I'm just going to say that.
All right, we're near the end now. Lord of the Rings, 1. Many of the miniatures haven't been updated in literally decades, and like Numenorian miniatures came out in 2001.
I'm gonna, yeah, I'm gonna be on it. Sorry, mate, go on.
Yeah, they have killed a bunch of the miniatures off because they decided to get in on the whole animated movie that was done recently. So they just killed off like heaps of the Dungland range, which is all expensive resins and white metals that people had built up over the years, which is a real dick move, as well as like fiefdoms and a bunch of other stuff has really suffered. Rangers of the North, all those kind of things. A lot of them were really expensive factions. They have not provided timely support to the game in a very long time, and I really want to say it's like a 1 star. That was once probably their best game if you went back to like 2003, 2004.
Yeah, in terms of what they've done with it, 1 star. In terms of the game on paper as it is, 5 stars. I was about to say, this is the only game on this list where we don't need Games Workshop's models to actually play a good game of.
Yeah, that's a good point. The game does play really well, so I should rate it higher. But the way they've treated the players, I just have to break it in the middle and just go 3. Yeah,
no, I'm going to go with that. I just have a lot of love for the Lord of the Rings, and it still plays well. It's still it's evergreen. It plays really, really, really well.
All right, Warcry.
I don't know anything about
Dead.
I mean, dude, I never was curious, like, oh, let me like see what's in. I was just
Who
so blank on
cares?
Shadespire. I was like, I'm not. No, I'm good.
Who cares?
It's
Literally, who
doing
cares?
really, really badly at the moment.
I would have to. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, what's the appeal? Like, I don't see it.
Very few people playing it. It's basically not being supported. It's on that cusp of like they're just like grudgingly releasing miniatures for it now down the pipeline. I think it's a 1. If there are people who are really into Warcry who think it's a 5, by all means, I'm all ears in the comments. And that takes us to the big one, 40k. I think the fact that people are already screaming for 11th edition is sort of the proof is in the pudding statement. But why? Why is it that they successfully tank it every fucking 3 years? Like, not even 3 years, like a year and a half into each edition of 40k. You're just like, fuck.
Well, it's like when your check engine light comes on right after your warranty expires, right? It's like an inbuilt failure to prop up next. You're providing a solution to a problem you made. It's that meme.
You'd
This is
have,
getting up.
you'd have to
Yeah.
say it is like, it works as a game. The miniatures are getting the most support, but it is just all over the shop. The quality of the rules is down the gurgler. Again, it's this horrible situation where if the game is on such a tight cycle, that 3 yearly, nobody gets proper support. Like maybe a third of the factions get support over the life of the edition. Proper support, that is, like new miniatures and a proper codex. I think that's really what's probably actually hurting 40k more than anything. It's that you're keeping up with the Joneses. So the factions that get looked after tend to get looked after pretty well. And those that don't tend to really suffer in each edition. And whatever you built in the previous edition, the new mechanics of the new edition tend to invalidate. So I think it's a combination of those circumstances. Thoughts?
I think the good games of 40k, the good, versions of so long ago now. This is the only quantifiable 0 I can give. Every single time they've righted the ship a little bit, they've then decided to just tank all that and go right back to the beginning and start fucking shit up. If you sabotage your own game on purpose to sell more models, go fuck yourself. That's a 0, in my opinion. And that's 10th edition for you.
Well, I said 2, so Kuiper, you definitely know 40k the best out of us.
Yeah, I think I mentioned before, I feel as though I'm the most teched into the system, even if it's just on the narrative side. But I can't go higher than a 2. Like I was thinking between 2 and a 1. I mean, I could put
North
1
wants
just
0,
split the
so I
difference
guess
between both
that
of you.
that
it kind of
drops
defaults it to
officially,
a 1.
yeah.
In a sense, but yeah, I mean, it's such a heinous sin, you could say, right? To just tank your own game system. It's so scummy to last cannons are preferable this edition. Well, let's right the ship. And everyone who's invested in last cannons past a 2.5 year cycle is just gonna sucks to suck. Go buy your meltaguns now, or go buy grav guns now, or go buy whatever the new ideal solution is, right? It's super gross. The problem I mentioned with Kill Team, where your selection in war gear is being robbed more and more, and a big part of army building and the effort that goes into that is player expression. It's like terribly hurt. We'll see. And yeah, like you mentioned, Maka, just the fact that people are clamoring for a new edition is kind of all the evidence you need for a low score, right? Like I at the same time, I know people who have stated that it's 10th edition might not have all the options, but it's just such a tight system. The game's never tighter, and I'm like, fine. Like if that's your one angle, like analysis or like metric you want to look at, sure. I guess in that respect, it's a tighter game. It's more competitive. The world championships and all the competitive ceremony that goes along with that definitely validates the position of of an improved game experience, but well, you guys know how we all feel about the rules, actually. Pretty underwhelming. Yeah, it's gotta be a 1, man. I feel like that's like the true answer, but people like it despite of those failings.
So
competitive framing and hype and list building and all that kind of stuff.
So
propping up the excitement of 40K.
I rated the game a 2 as a whole. They're games. The Games Workshop. It's in the name. Games Workshop. A 2.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what it averages out to as a score? All of those numbers?
Probably 1 or 2.
Yeah, probably.
Where are we at?
1.78. It's 25 divided by 14 games.
Well, definitely lower than I thought going into this.
I thought we'd get 2 or 3. Yeah.
And then, of course, Black Library itself, if I think a 3 would be fucking generous. Again, there's half a dozen series you can name, and the rest is piss.
It's gonna be like 10% of the books are like noise. Is like my suspicion, right?
You get 2. You get 2 from me, and that's for the good books. They get you 2 points. But what they did to the Horus Heresy, -2 points. The political messaging seeping its way into many Black Library books, another -point. So that brings us down to 2. So that's 2 out of 5 for me.
All right. So for our models, we got a 4. For our hobby tools, a 3. For our online store, a 2. For our in-store experience, a 3. For our game, 1.78. I'm keeping that very specifically in decimals now. For Black Library, a 2. So that's 15.78 divided by our 6 game systems for an average score of 2.63 for Games Workshop. Out of 5.
Fair.
I think that's
fair.
Pretty much where...
That's the perception, right? The vibe, I mean.
Look, this is our vibe. We're biased, right? But, I mean, that's a 50-50. Like, that's half good, half shit as a company. Just barely above the shit line. Like, 2.5 is the cutoff. And they're at 2.63. It's not the most objective set of tests in the world, but that is giving the company their dues. What are they doing really well? What are they doing really poorly? And it's like, these are the areas that matter. The lore, the models, the experience, the game itself, and the tools to build it all and make it happen. I think those are the categories you have to rate. And I think they're doing... I think we pretty fairly rated them, and we gave our reasons why. And I'd be really curious what the audience says. So, yeah, that's it. That takes us through to the end of the episode, which is good because I think it's like 1 a.m. here or 1:30 here, and North, you got to shoot off, and Kaifa, you just woken up, and you've got a whole day ahead of you to suffer through still.
Yep.
So, yeah, thank you very much for coming on, guys. Thank you, everyone who watched. I would encourage you to go and check out the Arch Warhammer video for yourself. Let me know what you think. Even if you disagree with the man or don't like the man, actually listen to what he has to say. The content of the video is what's important. And also let me know what you think of strategy games, RTSs being on console, and why that's a terrible idea. There are no other opinions to hold, of course. And also what you think of Dawn of War 4. We didn't really talk about that, but I think that actually looks more promising. Yeah. Anything you guys want to say as we wrap up?
No, this was fun. Good chat.
Yep. Awesome.
Next one's on North's channel, so no pressure.
But we'll see. I'll have to come up with a good idea. Or several.
I'm sure you're capable of
it. We'll see.
And if not, we'll let Kaifa host. All right. So thanks, everyone, for watching. And thanks for tuning in for Grimdark Therapy. We'll catch you all on the next episode. Ta-ta.
See you later.
Farewell.
Bye.